This is Cinnamon Spice and Whispered Words, a short story written by myself. This comes from the Weekend Prompt Challenge, in which you write 15 minutes based on a given prompt. If you are interested, I'll leave the link in the description so you can try it out as well. And without further ado, let's get into our story. This work comes from prompt 275. Sometimes I wonder if it would have been any different if you didn't walk into my life. Let's get into it. Autumn was a merry time for some, filled to the brim with leaves and pumpkin spiced everything. Scarves finally had a use, and crocheting again became a cozy hobby. Yes, it seemed everyone welcomed the brisk embrace of fall. All except Janice. He grumbled, diving further beneath the covers as the autumn air threatened to seep in through the window sills. A fire crackled at his feet, warming the wool socks he had received as a gift from years past. Still, nothing could banish the chill that clung to his scales and sent the occasional shiver down his spine. An assortment of leaves cascaded outside the window, a cruel mockery of his current state. He pulled his quilt tighter around his shoulders, delighting in the soft fabric against his skin. Through slow breaths, Janice shoved away the notion of fall and immersed himself in a world of warmth and cinnamon scent. Dear heavens, did you invite the sun into our bedroom? The voice emerged from the edge of Janice's dreams, and he blinked his eyes open to peek just outside the covers. Not all of us find it to be much better from whatever monstrosity is outside, Janice mumbled into his pillow with a smirk. Roman grinned, setting down his bags. And you believe such things can steal away my job? The mere thought appalls me. No need to worry, you're just as radiant. Janice lifted the quilt, bracing himself against a few seconds of cold air, but more than willing to risk it as his boyfriend moved to lay by his side. He felt strong arms encircle his waist before Roman's head rested on his shoulder. Janice smiled, pressing his cheek into auburn curls with a sigh. You're right, Roman muttered. It's much better here. Glad I could finally bring you to a realization, darling. He pulled Roman closer, tracing small shapes onto the soft fabric of Roman's sweater. First a flower, then a star, then hearts, over and over again. Quite the artist, I see, Roman chuckled, and the warm air tickled Janice's skin. Are you trying to communicate something through the endless hearts? Not in particular, Janice hummed, though he couldn't keep the gentle blush from his cheeks. You're just too adorable for your own good. You love it. Utter nonsense, Janice said, though both knew such words were a lie, for the smile that emerged on his face was of pure endearment, a glimmer of his eye in delight of the perfect world surrounding him. Roman intertwined his fingers with Janice's, brushing his thumb lightly over the layer of scales. Gently, he brought Janice's hand up to his lips and pressed a kiss to his knuckles. Amidst Janice's spreading blush, he sighed. Beautiful. Absolutely breathtaking, my dear. What? You. Just you. Roman smiled. His eyes drifted to the crackling fire beside their feet, and he sighed with something almost wistful. A hint of a shimmer emerged on his eyes, leaving Janice lightly squeezing his hand. Are you all right? Roman's gaze snapped back to him, immediately recognizing the concern that had overtaken his features. Oh, yes, of course. His soft smile returned. I'm just thinking is all. Thinking, Janice repeated. About what? Well, Sometimes I wonder if it would have been any different if you didn't walk into my life. I see. Janice paused to snuggle closer into Roman's arms. Well, first of all, I didn't walk into your life. I fell. This drew a chuckle from Roman. Oh, right! I nearly forgot about the stairs. Yes, the stairs. Janice sighed, unable to look away from the dazzling smile of his boyfriend. And second, what spurred you to ask such a question? I'm not quite sure. I suppose this is all so perfect. I fear that I could have missed it had I not caught you that day. I'm worried that 1 second too late, and I never would have met such a charming person. Such words left Janice's face growing hot. He groaned and buried his face into Roman's sweater. How dare you be such a sap? Only for moments like these. Roman gently lifted Janice's chin so they locked eyes. His smile had to be so sickeningly sweet in that moment that a cavity was imminent, though Janice didn't necessarily mind. He leaned into the gentle feeling of Roman's hand on his cheek with a smile. If it offers any comfort to your previous question, I would have made sure we met regardless. Oh? And how's that, my serpentine sweetheart? A smirk emerged on Janice's lips. He denied it, though Roman's nicknames always left his heart fluttering. You forget that I had been attending that coffee shop for weeks, just trying to work up the nerve to speak to you. I had planned to ask for your number before the whole stairs incident. Roman's eyes widened. You can't be serious. Janice nodded with a grin. What? How did I never notice? Secretiveness is a core part of my personality, darling. Besides, I think I much preferred landing in your arms over my subpar small talk. Roman pressed a kiss to Janice's forehead. We would make quite the Hallmark movie, wouldn't we? Oh yes, a Christmas special for sure. Cheesy name and all. Well, of course! Roman gained the sparkle to his eyes he always did when in a creative burst. I'm thinking a coffee shop Christmas. Oh, please, spare me from such torture, Janice exclaimed, placing his hand upon his heart as dramatically as he could. Roman laughed. Careful, Jan. It seems I'm beginning to rub off on you. Is that really such a horrible thing? Janice smirked, his voice dropping. Someone so wonderful doesn't deserve to be forgotten. He leaned forward, so close that his breath ghosted over Roman's skin. The latter froze, his face becoming a glorious shade of red. Flustered, I see? Jan, you're teasing me, Roman whispered, covering his face with his hands. Janice grabbed his wrists and gently moved them away. And what if I am? You don't have to hide away. I enjoy seeing that pretty smile. You are insufferable. Insufferable or irresistible? Janice brushed a thumb over Roman's cheek, delighting in the way he could see the reflection of the fireplace in his eyes. Roman cupped Janice's face, sighing. Maybe a bit of both. He pressed a gentle kiss to Janice's lips and pulled back with a grin. Though I can't say I'm complaining. Janice hummed with the contact and wrapped his arms tighter around his boyfriend. He felt Roman smile against his hair, and with a final sense of peace, Janice allowed himself to drift off. The soft crackle of the fire still filled his ears, though the bitter cold no longer threatened to nip at his skin. Calm. That's what this was. and with a silent breath, Janice embraced the feeling for as long as the autumn afternoon would allow him. Maybe fall wasn't so bad after all. This has been Cinnamon Spice and Whispered Words. Thank you so very much for listening, and I will see you next time for another story.